In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a smooth hyperlapse without any equipment like a gimbal. All you need is your camera and your hands. And Protake, of course. We'll also take a look at the different settings and options in Protake for both time lapses and hyperlapses. So if you want to see what it takes to make one of these pretty cool videos, stick around. And if you want to see more videos like this, or on how to improve your online courses, consider subscribing. Hi, I'm Cal. Welcome to my channel, the right place for teachers, creatives, and online course enthusiasts. And today's focus on Protake hyperlapses. Just in case you weren't aware, a time lapse is a video where a longer amount of time is condensed into just a few seconds. You've seen this before with videos of sunsets, sunrises, and the movement of stars in the sky. But a time lapse keeps the phone locked in one position. However, a hyperlapse is essentially the same thing, except we add an extra dimension to it by moving the camera and create an extra special visual effect. So how do we do this with Protake? Well, let's get into the app itself and look at some of the settings that you're going to need to do and change first before you make that hyperlapse. So let's open up our Protake app right now. And just in case you don't see what you see on my screen here, right here is a button that can toggle on and off the display. Comes in handy. So we have the display on now, and what I want to do first, I think you should always have, is your grid lines. So let's go here to this button right here. Now it says grids here at the top, but let's go and click others. And then at the bottom we have this thirds, and if you click it off and click it on, that's how you can change those settings. So let's keep it on. It's going to come in handy in so many different ways if you didn't already have it on. Okay, just tap anywhere in the blank space in the middle and you can exit that menu. The next thing I want to do is go into your settings. Let's go up here to the top right where you see the gear icon. Let's click on that. Now there's a lot of stuff here at the top. We have record, data, presets, accessories, and Protake itself. I'm going to focus on the first two. With record, now if you look right here, we have stabilization. Off, standard, cinematic, and extreme, where we have really high latency. We're going to start off with standard. I'm going to show you what it looks like to record on standard. Later, I'm going to switch to extreme and show you the difference. So this is a great place for you to remember where to adjust your stabilization with Protake. Now, on the next button here at the top, data, I want to make sure that you're in most compatible as opposed to high efficiency. High efficiency will save data, but it's not going to be as compatible with others. And if you want to upload your video to any particular platform, it's usually going to require this H.264 encoding. So just to be on the safe side, let's go not here, but here and choose most compatible. Okay, let's exit out of all of this. Now we have our settings here at the top left. As far as resolution goes, I suggest sticking with 4K. Although I'm going to export in 1080p, I'm still going to retain a little extra clarity and definition with 4K. So be on the safe side, record in a better or higher definition. Next we have FPS, frames per second. It's always a great idea to record in 24 frames per second. It's a more natural look. However, we're recording a hyperlapse, which is in essence a time lapse that moves the camera. Right here, this toggle, time lapse, we can click on and off. Right now it's off. So in order to film your hyperlapse, we want to click it on. Once you do that, if you look to the right, we have a lot of options here. Now I'm going to go all the way to the left here, and we have at your lowest frame per second here, 0.5 seconds per frame. You can go all the way up from 0.5 to 1 to 2, 3, 4, and 5. Notice as I do this, right above this, when you shoot a video or film a video for 5 minutes, at this frame rate, you're going to produce a 4.2 second amount of video. Now if I go down to 0.5, it's changed to 25 seconds. So obviously the smaller or lower the frame rate, the longer the hyperlapse you're going to create. At the moment, I'm going to keep it in 0.5 because it's my favorite, and you'll see why. So let's just click out of there. Let's go to shutter. Now with shutter, I would manually adjust this, but let's say you're outside. When it comes to shutter and the next option, ISO, I like to manually control these. However, let's say you're outside. What I would do, and you have the option for both of these, you have this auto exposure, you can toggle on and off. And you do have the same thing with ISO. You can auto exposure on and off. It seems to work best for me when I click it on, auto. I do the same with shutter. I click it on, and then as soon as I do that, it adjusts to the environment, and then I lock it. I click on here, and this would have been on. I click on here, they're both locked. All right. You want to do the same thing with your white balance right here. Make sure with your white balance, you do not have auto and you don't have any of these other options. You want record lock. That means when you start recording, it will adjust white balance when you hit the record button and stick with that setting. That way, as you move, you're not going to get odd adjustments of light. And finally, lens. Now, typically I film with the wide lens for normal video, but for a hyperlapse, I think it's going to look better if you have this option to go with your ultra wide lens. So to recap, we've got 4K, 24 frames per second, under that 0.5 frames per second for your hyperlapse. Your shutter and ISO have been locked, your white balance has been locked, and your lens is ultra wide. So let's get filming. Disclaimer, this video is about how the average person can get a hyperlapse done with the Protake app without special equipment like a gimbal. The hyperlapses I'm about to show you were done at the local park down the street, walking at my normal pace, just using my hands with almost zero effort to stabilize. So here are the results at the park with a standard stabilization and frame rate of 0.5. Notice it looks choppy. It doesn't look very smooth. This is because when I'm walking, it seems to bounce back and forth. Now, let's see what happens keeping everything else the same, except I'm switching from a standard stabilization to extreme stabilization. And I'm walking the same path, the same direction, and the same distance. So much smoother. So these are the settings I suggest when you film your hyperlapse. So if you found this video valuable so far, I would certainly appreciate a like. It really helps the channel. So what is my conclusion? I would use a frame rate of 0.5 frames per second and film with extreme stabilization on your Protake app. Of course, you should test this out yourself and find out what works best for you. Also, if you want to see a more in-depth look into Protake's app and settings, check out my other video where I compare Protake against Filmic Pro. Link is in the description. Now it's your turn to play with the settings and get your own unique hyperlapse with Protake. Let me know in the comments what worked best for you, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Oh, don't forget to check out some of my other videos right here. Take care. Bye-bye.